Hi, loves, and welcome to the With Love Always podcast, a podcast to help you live the life you were created for. We are your hosts and your friends, Bree
and Marissa,
and we're so grateful you're here.
We pray you listen and leave feeling more inspired, encouraged, and uplifted. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. Today we have such a fun topic that we're going to be talking about. It's all about the concept of high quality leisure. This is actually a term I just heard recently, and I feel like a light bulb almost went off when I heard it. And I was like, this is so representative of this concept that I've never really had language around. So I was like, we have to do an episode talking all about the difference between high quality versus low quality leisure, what it actually looks like, how you can implement it, and just kind of giving you guys some ideas of what high quality leisure looks like in our life and the ways that it can be really transformational. So we're just going to unpack all of the things. And to kind of credit where this initial concept came from, I was actually reading a book called Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. And the first kind of section of the book is talking a lot about how most of our days are filled with very low quality leisure activities. So a lot of it's just trying to keep us entertained, honestly kind of numb us in a lot of ways. So we're reaching for social media or the television or whatever it might be that's just super accessible. But a lot of times it's not actually what's truly restful and restorative for us. And it can leave us kind of just continuing to feel burnt out, and we're kind of stuck in this cycle. And so he then goes on to unpack how we can really replace the low quality leisure that's currently in our life with high quality leisure. So you don't need heaps of new time in your life in order to enjoy high quality leisure. It's truly something that you have the capacity. I believe everyone has the capacity and honestly needs to have high quality leisure in their life in order to truly live a balanced, joy-filled, just restorative life. So I'm so excited to talk about this topic and kind of unpack it in all of its depths. And we really hope that it's so valuable for you guys.
Yeah. So this episode today is really with the heart and the intention in mind for anyone out there who's maybe even feeling just burnt out with their time. And you're like, I just feel like I can't seem to get a grip of like what rest looks like for my life or what enjoyment in my free time looks like. And to what Marissa said, it's like we all have the same amount of time in a day, but life is so busy. And so I think honestly, this was a brand new concept to me before Marissa mentioned it. And I was like, wow, I'm literally obsessed with that concept. I've never heard that term in my whole entire life. And we're all busy. We're all living very busy, full lives. And I think that's why there is so much emphasis and such a precious treasure on our time. And if we are filling our time with things that are actually leaving us empty and just depleted, we are only going to lead a burnt out life. And so we want to have this conversation today for anyone out there who is maybe leading that really busy life and maybe you are feeling really burnt out. And we really hope that we can encourage you to look at the things that you're filling your time with, whether you have a lot of time or not that much time. And we really kind of want to like inspire you guys to take a look, to evaluate and see areas and ways that maybe you can swap out the things that are depleting you for things that really recharge you. So I know that this topic today literally convicted me as we were just discussing it before we hit record. So we're so excited to just dive into this concept and encourage you guys.
Yeah, I think something often that we find is when we are growing up, a lot of times we get to nurture a bunch of different areas in our life. So we have time to play, we have time to be creative, time to do sports, time to join clubs. We have all of these different capacities that are being met. And I feel like as we start to get older, we kind of phase out of that. And then we get stuck in a cycle where we have a job and a lot of our free time is just left in low quality leisure. And so I think for this, I really just want to emphasize and kind of reinstill that excitement and even just that character of play that we often nurture as kids, but we kind of forget to nurture once we enter our 20s, 30s, etc. I think we don't lose those desires. It's just that we don't get to really just like nurture them and really embrace that. So that's going to be kind of the lens in which we're going to be be sharing a lot of this. And so when I was doing a little bit of research, I actually found that it was scientifically proved. Like there are a bunch of different studies that show that people that engage in high quality leisure activities, like activities that or hobbies that fall under that category, they have much lower levels of anxiety, they sleep better, they feel more restored and recharged, and they also live a longer life, which that right there, like when I was kind of digging into the research, I was like, okay, I want to be that person that lives like not only a long life, but truly a filled life that's full of all these different areas where it's not just who I was as like a wife or a mom or an employee, but truly who I was as a person and all of these different facets and passions and ways that I kind of got to nurture different aspects of myself.
Gosh, it honestly just makes me think too of like, if you could take the same two people, because like I was mentioning in the beginning, it's like we all likely are living and leading very busy lives. And you can take two people who maybe have the same busy life, quote unquote. And one person could be so depleted by the busy life they're leading, but another person could still be so needing of rest, but maybe they have more joy, more energy, more of just life to them because they are engaging with activities that are actually instilling life within them versus engaging in more activities that are actually draining them even more. And so I think with like this term high quality leisure, I know because I had never heard it before, I would love for you to like give a definition of like what that even looks like, because it just sounds like so foreign even to me before this conversation of like what is a high quality leisure, or what's like the intention too, like what's it meant to bring to our lives?
Yeah, that's so good. Honestly, I was trying to find like a formal definition. I couldn't find an exact one, but what I think of when I think of high quality leisure is it's an activity that leaves you feeling refreshed and recharged. So it's truly something that is restorative, whether it's your mind, body, soul, spirit. It's something that, I mean, I think we all know like that feeling where you're doing something and maybe it's even exhausting. Like maybe you're working with your hands or you're exercising and you're like, oh, that was exhausting, but I feel so alive. Like I feel so refreshed. You almost feel that release of like dopamine or like just these natural chemicals of like, I just feel like this part of me almost has come to life. I feel like that's such an example of what high quality leisure feels like. And I know that's going to depend, you know, we're going to have different results. Some are more like low intensity. It doesn't have to be a super like mentally or physically stimulating thing. I think it's just identifying those things where you're like, okay, when I do this, it actually is something that restores me and is an energy giver rather than an energy taker. And kind of a rule of thumb that I like to follow is I look at how I spend a majority of my day in work. So for me, my jobs have always been primarily remote, working from home, pretty independent, sitting at home in front of the computer. And so I kind of like to contrast that with how I rest or pursue high quality leisure. So for me, that means connecting with other people, getting to move my body, getting to be outside, getting to work with my hands, using parts of my mind that aren't necessarily stimulated in my job. And so I think that's just a really beautiful place to start, is looking at what are some of those gaps in areas that I'm not really getting to utilize day to day, and how can I nurture them when I'm looking for these new activities to kind of pursue. So I know a lot of this has maybe been hypothetical so far, so I want us to just jump into very tangible examples as we've kind of reflected on what are the high quality leisure things in our life. So I'd love for you just to share some of the things.
Oh gosh, I love this. And honestly, this kind of question used to always like stunt me. Like I remember when people would ask me, like, I mean, no one's asked me what's my high quality leisure, but like when people would ask me like, what's my hobby? I think we all, or maybe at least for myself, know the feeling of like, oh my gosh, do I have any hobbies? I don't even think so. And you're like questioning yourself of, do I even know what I like?
I'm so boring.
I'm so boring. Like I'm not good at anything. And if that is you today, that is okay. We hope we can just press into some self-discovery and press into that nurturing. But I just want to say, as I answer my response of what my high quality leisures are, it has taken me time and nurturing of self to discover this. This did not necessarily come natural. But some of my high quality leisures in my life, one is, of course, running. I love running so much. And it really is like a leisure for me. Some of you guys are like, that sounds exhausting. That is not my leisure. That's my torture. But for me, it's like so leisurely, and it's such a way for me to connect with my mind, for me to connect with my body, like especially when I intentionally go on runs during sunset. High quality leisure, like the release I feel after a long day, or if I'm like carrying and harboring a lot of emotions in my body or my mind, like going on a run and just letting those go, like that is always such a quality form of expressing my time. And so running is a really big one for me, and something that I recently like more so allowed myself to put to language of like, this is actually my hobby. It's taking photos and videos. And some of you guys might be like, well, of course it's a hobby, but I think I've always kind of done that for myself. Like I love taking my camera with me, and literally like when I get coffee in the morning, or I go on my neighborhood walks, or I go walk to the beach, like I'm always taking little random videos of the most silliest things, like not even anything that people would think is noteworthy. Like I will take a video of, I can't even think of an example, something so small and so overlooked. But for me to just turn on my camera and take a photo or take a video, the way that fills me up creatively, like it allows me to tap into kind of like what Marissa said earlier, like that younger inner child in me that loves to dream and is captivated by the small joys and small details in life. And even if nobody sees those photos, which for as much as I take, a lot of the things I capture go unseen, it's really just like a way that I connect with that part of my mind and myself. And so I love that so much. And then also in relation to that, editing those videos and sharing them for me is like, oh, I love it so much. It makes me so happy. And then other high quality leisures are truly just like my daily walks. Like when I'm really intentional, like when I'm intentional with my mind on my walks, because I think sometimes I go on walks, and I mean, I always enjoy a good walk, don't get me wrong. But you know those times when you go on a walk and you're like, I just feel like I just released something, or I just feel like I came back to life. Like those are the walks that I'm like, wow, I was so present, and I wasn't just walking for exercise, or I wasn't just walking to get somewhere. I was walking to release and to rest. That is like really restorative for me. Journaling is huge for me in my mind. Like I literally am not always really faithful of journaling. Like I love it so much, but I think it's one of those things that I can push off to the side. But the moment that I give myself permission to have the time to engage in that, oh my gosh, it's so restorative for my mind, like above and beyond. And then I would say, lastly, for me, a really big one is just really like intimate quality time with a friend. Like when I'm just able to truly connect, not just like passively connect, but like really connected, like how are you doing, or like talking through things, or whether it's me sharing things, or whether it's them sharing things with me, like that fills me up so much more intentionally than just like passive light conversation. Like I love to go deep. And so those are some of my high quality leisures.
Those are so good. And I relate to honestly a lot of those. And I'll go ahead and share some of mine as well. But I wanted to preface them by saying, like, I feel like for me, it took me such a long time to nurture this area, or like this area to kind of realize like what my hobbies are and stuff. So I would say a lot of these are pretty recent, within the last like maybe 2 years. And so I just want to encourage you, if you feel like, how do you girls like have so many hobbies or things you like? Yeah. Like these, for me at least, aren't things that I did as a little kid. Like they have been discovered through intentional, or they've been nurtured through intentional discovery, and me just being aware that I want to embrace this side that I feel like I was so that person where I was like, I have zero hobbies whatsoever. So I just made it a habit to try to figure out some things I like. And so, yeah, like even growing up, I would say I didn't really identify as being like an athletic person. So I kind of wrote off those things because I didn't really do like sports long term. But now I would say some of my favorite leisure activities include me like moving my body in a very imperfect way. So I know we've talked about surfing. That's my most recent one. It is so fun, so challenging, so refreshing for me, and I love it so much. And then also playing tennis. This was like my ultimate quarantine hobby. My dad and I started like tennis lessons a few years back together, and it was such a great way to spend like quality time together, but also just have somebody to learn this new hobby with and be at the same like pace. Like we're the perfect opponents because we like have both been playing for the exact amount of time. So it's super fun. And then even just reading, I feel like I didn't really start reading for fun until the last couple of years. And now I love it. I'm a really slow reader. And I feel like I'm always reading a bunch of different books, but I just love learning. And I feel like reading is one of my favorite ways to do that. And even as how I discovered this topic, like I mentioned, the last one that I wanted to touch on, there's so many more, but I feel like for me, I'm someone who loves to have kind of a passion project outside of work. I find that it just keeps me fulfilled and keeps me excited and nurtures like a side of my creativity. And so I would say this podcast, because we don't do it for work. Yeah. Like it truly is an activity that is high quality leisure for us. And it's something that we look forward to, and we get to exercise muscles that we do not use on our day to day. So it's so fun and so restorative in that way.
Yeah, that's actually such a good one, because I think about like moments I have spare time, like the fact that I get to invest my spare time with being creative, of like writing a podcast outline or, you know, coming over here and recording episodes. Like it really is a form of investing my time into something that fills me up. And I was just telling Marissa, I was like, if we didn't have a podcast, like I don't even know what I would be doing with this extra time. Like I love that this time that we devote to the podcast is like something that fills us up, as hopefully it fills you guys up. Like it really is such a high quality leisure in our lives.
So those are some of our high quality leisure examples, and we want to continue to unpack that, and we'll give some ideas if you feel like, okay, you still want more ideas and more things to try. We're going to unpack all of that. But before we move too far along, I did want to take a moment to just touch on low quality leisure, because I know I mentioned that in the beginning. And so I think the aim of this episode is to really identify high quality leisure, but then also low quality leisure, because ultimately you want to do an exchange of the two.
Yes.
So we also just wanted to define what low quality leisure looks like. And I will say with low quality leisure, I feel like it's not a one size fits all. Like even some of our examples, when we're sharing, they might actually be a high quality leisure activity for you. But I think the definition is, at least for me, I find that when I engage in low quality leisure, it's aimed to distract me or numb me, or it's just kind of easy to reach for, but it doesn't actually restore or recharge me. And a lot of times it leaves me feeling more exhausted or more empty afterwards. And I think with low quality leisure, it's often the thing that has the lowest barrier to entry. So it's something that's really easy to reach for, whether it's our phone or our TV, like I mentioned, something that just is so accessible, but it actually has such little reward to it. And so, yeah, if you don't mind just giving some examples of low quality leisure in your life that you're aware of, and then I'll share some too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think, you know, living in the world of social media that we do, but specifically with me, like my entire career is on social media, like my job, but also my passion projects and my personal brand. I know I'm not the only one. I almost like feel bad like saying it, but like, oh my gosh, can my low quality leisure, and literally the thing that is making me feel so exhausted and burnt out, is my time on social media. And there's one thing about being really intentional with my time, because when I'm intentional with my time on social media, that is my high quality leisure. It really, really is. I love social media. I think it's such a powerful tool. I love connecting with you guys. but there are definitely times where it's like I see myself at the end of a long and exhausting day, or I see myself with free time on my hands, and that is the very quick fix that I reach for. I open my apps, I scroll through mindlessly. And don't get me wrong, there's times when it's like a little bit of social media engagement is what you need to just check out. But there's times, especially even lately, where I'm like just so depleted, and it's like the first thing that I turn to do mindlessly. And I don't know why I convinced myself that when I do it sometimes that it's going to make me feel good. It literally does not ever make me feel good. It makes me feel exhausted. And I actually don't know if anyone else has experienced this. Actually, I guarantee you probably have. I like call it like a social media hangover when I sometimes like wake up the next day and I have like a headache or I feel really tired, even though maybe I didn't physically exert myself too much. I think mentally I was depleting myself. And so I'll call it a social media hangover or technology hangover when I used my spare time in such a restless kind of way that I actually wake up the next day and I feel the negative effects of it.
Wow.
And I know for me, as someone who is on, I mean, we're all probably on technology a lot, but I'm on social media a lot. That for me, like, I know the mornings I wake up and I'm like, I have a social media hangover. I cannot engage the way that I engaged like yesterday or the day before or this week. And so for me, that is a mindless thing I can do. And I don't love when I find myself falling into that. I think another thing for me, I am like such a generator. So like I love to work. I love like feeling accomplished. I love getting things done. And I think I'm able to successfully do a lot of things at once. I feel like I'm a very high capacity and high operating person, which is such a blessing, but also at times like it produces this false sense of rest or false sense of accomplishment for me. And so sometimes for me, my low quality leisure is actually the restlessness that I feel that I always need to be doing something productive. So there will be times like at the end of the day when I have nothing to do, but I'm always thinking about the things that I could be doing. So I like try to get myself to like work on this thing or to edit a video or to, I don't know, knock something off of a future to-do list that even though it could wait until tomorrow or the next day or next week, I'm like wanting to get it done because in my head, it's like producing this sense of accomplishment. And I think that's hard for any of us who maybe like operate the way that I do. Because in that moment, what I actually need is like recharging rest, not a false sense of accomplishment. And so
good.
I would say that's a really, really big one for me. And then, wait, I think that was it for me.
Yeah, that was it.
I meant to say TV is high quality, but I'll mention that after you mention that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to say one more thing. But yeah, I think those are two of my biggest low quality leisures that I know the more I engage with, the more exhausted I will feel at the end of the day, at the end of the week. And even like what I said earlier, it's like, that's what low quality leisures does. Like all of us are leading really full lives, but two people can be leading the same life, but one of them is engaging in things that are actually life-giving versus life-depleting. And I know weeks when I'm engaging in more life-depleting things, I can feel it. I can feel it so hard in the way I can show up.
Yeah, those are so good. And I love how you even explain that. Like to some degree, social media can be high quality, but in very specific constraints and boundaries. And it's like, I think that's kind of the issue with a lot of these. And even like my examples that I'm going to share, they're fine in little spurts when they're intentional, but it's when they extend beyond intentionality that it immediately depletes in value. And so like the first one that came to mind was actually online shopping, which again, this can be so practical. Like I love to order my groceries online. I do pick up. I love the convenience of online shopping. I do stand by that. Like I'm not ready to fully eliminate it. But sometimes I find like when I have free time and I don't even buy things a lot of times, but I'll just sometimes get in a habit to just kind of start shopping for things, whether it's I got sent to a website from social media or even like I love Pinterest. So my Pinterest ads I'll click on. Before I know it, I'm like shopping for a home that I don't even have. Like I'm shopping for a vacation that's not planned.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of one of those things that sometimes I'll just be adding to my cart for no reason. And truly, I notice it is so depleting for me. Like I am someone who I don't enjoy that. So I'm like, why am I engaging in that activity? So maybe you guys can relate to that. Another one is watching TV. And this is something I do not want to blame my husband because he's the best, but I didn't have a TV throughout college. And so I wasn't really watching TV. And then he's someone who really loves like film and television and appreciates that. For me, I don't know what it is. It is so depleting. Like it's so rare I actually find a show that's life-giving and recharging. I can maybe think of like a small handful that I've ever seen that I actually really enjoyed and would rewatch. So I think just like that habitual, like maybe sitting down for dinner and turning on the TV, there is nothing that is like more low quality than like eating my dinner in front of the TV and just like trying to recharge after a long day. Like it just never fills me back up. And then the last one that came to mind was unintentional conversations with friends. And what I mean by that is same as you mentioned, like I love spending intentional time with friends. That's so recharging for me. But I notice if I just kind of fall into that habit, it could be texting or maybe when you're just kind of hanging out and you're like too tired to really have quality conversation, instead of us maybe just sitting in silence or like doing an activity together or leaving the situation. Like when you start to just kind of engage in like small talk, or sometimes with like family members, we start to then complain about something, or even people will start to gossip. I'm like, oof. There is nothing that is more draining than that. When you like sit in a conversation that's just not really going anywhere and there's nothing life-giving about it. Like, I think that for me, I'm like, okay, I want to be so mindful of like politely either redirecting or exiting that conversation.
Yeah. Or halting. We're done.
Yeah. Gotta go.
You're done.
So those are just some that came to mind for me.
I love that. And I think Marissa made this point earlier, but this whole like concept is really so unique and so individualistic, because I think you mentioned it earlier as well, of what is one person's high quality, maybe someone's low quality, and vice versa. And so like for you, like watching TV can be depleting. But for me, actually watching TV or watching a movie is like a moment of celebration for me. Because for the life of me, because one of my low qualities is like trying to be hyper productive. When I give myself permission to rest and like can actually focus on watching a movie and actually intentionally watch TV, that is like a moment of celebration for me. And that for me is a high quality leisure of like, oh wow, I know I'm getting myself to finally rest. But that's like truly so individualistic, like Marissa mentioned earlier. And so yeah, it's just like fascinating how we're all just so different in that way too, of like what we need to feel restored versus what is like depleting us. Because I'm sure someone would say running is their low quality leisure.
Yeah, definitely relate to that. Jumping into the next kind of segment of this episode is, like I said, just to kind of reiterate, step 1, identifying high quality leisure. Step 2, identifying low quality leisure that you can replace it with, is such a key to this whole conversation that we just kind of want to emphasize. But I think there are so many people, if you were like me a couple years ago and you were wrestling with, oh no, I think I'm the exception of the person that actually doesn't have anything they like doing outside of work in their free time, and I have no hobbies, and you're having that moment, we just want to affirm that there are probably so many interests, so many high quality leisure activities. You just haven't had a chance to either think of them or try them or experience them. So that's what we really just kind of want to encourage. Mm-hmm. So we came up with so many different ideas that either our friends do or that we've done ourselves, that we've seen that have truly served as being high quality leisure for people. So we divide it into 4 different sections. So we have the movement section, which this is more like athletic, moving your body, then creativity / working with your hands. Third one is nurturing your mind. And then lastly is connection. So kind of that like social friendship component. So kicking it off with movement, do you want to give some of the examples? Our movement queen.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And literally so excited to share these today because even as I was like reading over them, I was getting so inspired. And before I read off some of the ideas, I just want to encourage that if there's anything that we say in any of the 4 categories that just like excites you, or maybe you've ever been like, oh, I wish I could do that, or I wish I was good at that, or oh, I wish I could, whatever it may be, I just want to encourage you to latch onto that idea because you never know until you try. Like there are some things I'm going to list off that I was always the person of like, oh, well, I wish I liked camping. I wish I liked hiking, but I never did it. And I never took a chance on myself to even try it. But then through like accepting that process of self-discovery and nurturing myself into something that was new and foreign, I realized like, wait, I'm actually kind of good at that, or I actually enjoy that. And I didn't think I would. And so as we're speaking, if there's anything that excites your mind or excites your senses or excites any sort of part of you, maybe let this be an opportunity for you to deeply consider like, well, maybe this is the year that I try something new and nurture a side of me that has never existed before this point. So with that said, some of the movement ideas that we want to encourage you with high quality leisure. 1, tennis. We have our tennis queen right here, Marissa. Surfing. You guys know we've been trying to pick that one up. Skiing, snowboarding, hiking, camping, backpacking. Those are actually brand new ones for me that I would say I discovered in 2023 that I actually love that stuff. Like drop me off in a national park. I am there and I'm ready to hike all day. Mm-hmm. Walking, running. You guys know I love that one. Pickleball. I haven't even tried that one. Rock climbing, yoga, dancing, skateboarding, rollerblading. The list goes on, but like truly even within this list of movement, I'm like, wow, I know I want to like press in and try something new for myself. So hopefully those inspired something for our active people out there.
Okay, next category is creativity / working with your hands. So kind of a broad range. The first one, DIYs. This is a fun one. My husband and I had a DIY home project era when we first moved to our house, and we were building so much stuff. I'd never built things before. He's much better at it. I just kind of assist it. But it was so much fun, and just getting to work with your hands was just a way to be creative that I just hadn't really explored before. I also think so many people are good at doing like DIY crafts. I feel like that's not my gifting, but I'll see people make things from scratch. And I just think that's like the coolest skill ever. So there's so much you can do with that. Another one, which you're actually really good at this, is thrifting or like antiquing.
I love thrifting. I want to get into antiquing though. Oh, I'd love that stuff so much. It's so fun.
Another one is painting. Then there's also pottery. I really want to take a pottery class.
Me too. We should take one.
Let's do it. That would be so fun. Crocheting and embroidering. A friend was like asking what I wanted for my birthday, and I was like, I really want to start doing embroidery. So like some needles and thread.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding. I didn't know that.
I was like, I know that's so silly, but I'm like, I really want to get into it. I think it would be fun to like custom embroider like things on denim or different pieces.
Oh, that I would be obsessed.
It would be so fun. So we'll see if I pick that up. This one, I'm not amazing. I've tried to get into cooking and baking. I don't know that it's really my thing, but I love people that are into it. I love
me too.
Tasting.
I love to eat it.
I love to enjoy that skill.
Yes.
Photography, like you mentioned, gardening. I had a little bit of a gardening season and it was so fun. I want to get back into it. Reselling. I feel like so many people are good at doing that as like a little side hustle.
That's cute.
Traveling is a huge one. I feel like that's not always labeled as being like creative or a hobby, but I think that really is. It just like expands your mind in a new way. And then the last one I put is playing or learning a new instrument.
I love that one. I mean, I have some friends right now who like are specifically learning how to play the piano because they wanted to like invite a new hobby into their life that was like so different for them.
That's
and when they shared that with me, I was like, wow, like I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano. I haven't actually pursued it, but sometimes it's all it takes is like just pursuing that one thing that you're like, I wish I could do that. So I love that. That's a great one. The next category is for your mind. And so some high quality leisures for your mind are reading. I'm not the best reader, I'm going to be honest, but maybe that's something I unlearned because I want to be better, but I cannot sit and read.
I want you to read just so that I can like give you books. I want that's like a love language for me is giving somebody a book and then they read it and then we can talk about it. Aww. That's like my favorite thing. So that's selfishly why I want like, you to read.
Maybe I'm going to add to this list listening to music. That's a high quality. Actually, that is my high quality leisure.
That's good.
That's what I do for my mind more than I read. Writing or journaling. That's definitely one of my high quality leisures. Taking a class. Maybe it's learning a new skill. Maybe it's getting, I don't know, becoming an expert at something that you can do online. For me, I'm okay. But for some people, like who are so incredibly active at learning something new, like maybe you want to get like certified to become a Pilates instructor, or maybe you want to like
get your master's,
become a dietitian. Like actually I have a lot of friends who are like love wellness so much and they're like always looking to expand their expertise by learning something new or becoming like a Pilates instructor. That is incredible use of your time. Card games, doing puzzles. Actually, I have friends who they will wake up and like they'll do a puzzle every single morning or like spend like 15 minutes starting their day doing a puzzle because it like awakens their mind.
I love that.
And I was like, I have literally never heard that before, but that just shows it's like there's so many things we can be tapping into that can really be like nourishing our time, even if it's just for 15 minutes a day. Like, so cool.
Yeah, that's so good. And then the last and final section is connection. So for this, I was just kind of thinking any kind of like social connection. I would say social clubs. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I feel like on social media, there's so many of those kind of like niche clubs. A lot of them are like physical activity based. So many like run clubs. I know Brie loves run club. But I've seen so many that are even like food related or book related. Like you don't have to do a physical activity, even just like girls going on walks that live in an area type of club or like mom clubs. I think those are all so amazing.
Surf clubs.
I'm in a surf club like very informally, but it's so fun. Also like more formal groups, like we do Bible studies and community groups. I think just having those like intentional social structures, I think sometimes it's hard, quite frankly, to make plans with people at this age. Everyone's schedules are different. So I think having structured clubs can be such a just like dependable, consistent way to see the same faces like every week or every month. Also, if you're looking for clubs and you can't find one, I truly suggest like starting a club, even with just like your close friends.
Yeah.
I haven't done this yet, but I know some of my friends, we talked about doing like book clubs or actually doing like once a month, like a dinner party or a night where we all just like come over and cook, like some kind of consistent thing that we just have set on the calendar. And it's just like an intentional time to catch up and do something fun. Volunteering, this is something I want to do more of, just like serving your community. Maybe you love kids, so like getting a chance to nurture that side of you. There's so many opportunities to volunteer. And then I also put for this because I think it can be social, like music, specifically concerts and things like that.
I love that one. That's such a good one.
Or like live music, or even in the summer, you can go places and like have a picnic and listen to live music.
Yes. This is a random one too, but I feel like I honestly think it's a high quality leisure. It's like trying new restaurants or like going to new coffee shops. That sounds so silly, but I actually think that at least for me, is like a high quality leisure, like I am on top of my coffee shops, like on top of it in the way that it actually makes me so excited to like, I feel like I'm always like on the lookout, like on social media for a new coffee shop to try, or if like something new opens, I'm there. And I don't know why that like actually feels like a high quality leisure for me. Like I know exactly the best tasting lattes at different places. And it's like something that fascinates me and like opens my senses. I don't know. I feel like
I think that totally is.
I love it so much.
That reminds me, growing up, my dad and I both like love chocolate. We were we still kind of are like dessert people, but we would do that where we would like try to find the best like chocolate chip cookie in town or the best chocolate cake. And so we would just like honestly have an excuse to go to places or order desserts when we wouldn't normally. And we're setting out to like intentionally find this. And it's so silly, but I think high quality leisure is really just like assigning purpose to like even just these like silly little moments where it's like, even with your friends, you might see them all the time, but like, why not have a night where you all like cook Italian food and like dress up in a certain way?
That's so cute.
It's like just making these day-to-day moments like such an experience. I think that adds so much quality to just simple little activities. To kind of wrap up this episode, we want to give just some final tips, final thoughts from our experiences trying to find the highest quality leisure in our life. And I think the key to this that we've found is you don't always know what you don't like. I think I used to think I had arrived at 20 and I knew everything I did and didn't like, but there was so much I just hadn't tried, so I wrote it off. And so I just want to encourage you, if you are listening and anything caught your interest, or if there's something that's been on the back of your mind, or you're like, I have no idea if I would like that. Like, I've never been camping. I have no idea. Why not just give it a go? And I think you have to be willing to fail. And that's kind of the beauty of this. Like, we listed so many things. You don't realistically have time to do all of this. Yeah. I don't think anyone does. So the goal is really finding like, what are those like 4 things that you can do? Maybe it's seasonally, maybe it's something you can do for the rest of your life. Like, what are those things you can reach for instead of a low quality leisure activity? And understand that you're probably going to fail and find a lot of things you don't like, but you may stumble upon some of your favorite things ever, your favorite passions that you have yet to uncover. So I think just getting past that learning curve, because it can be a learning curve. Like, even I think of when I started surfing and I was like, the first time I'm like, I do not like this at all, just because it's hard, it's new, it's uncomfortable. But then you just go, maybe give it a few tries and realize, oh wait, there's actually a lot of potential here and I really like it. So I just want to encourage you in that there may be some failures. Don't let it discourage you. Just keep going, keep trying the next thing.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I even think about this past year of my life, like discovering my own high quality leisures. Like, I did a lot of hiking last year. And I remember the first one I went on. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, a little leisure hike in. But like, I'm talking about like intense, like 10, 12 miles a day. I'm like, what are we doing here? First time I went, I was like, I can't survive. I'm huffing and puffing up this mountain. But then like I started going to more national parks and I realized, wait, I love this thrill. And so to what Marissa said, it's like at no age in our lives, but especially in our 20s, have we arrived by any means. Like, there's still so much to unlock within yourself. There's so much to discover within yourself. And so we just hope and pray and encourage that this episode really would just inspire you to even learn yourself greater and deeper, because ultimately, like, our heart and our intention with this episode is we want you to tap into so much more of yourself, but we also want to be sure that you're leading a life that is life-giving and not life-depleting. And so, like we said in the beginning, our heart and our intention with this is really to go out to anyone who's feeling depleted, burnt out, exhausted, feel like you just can't find rest to save your life. Like, we want to give you ideas of ways to truly rest, but not only rest, but to really like accentuate your life and to accessorize your life in a beautiful, beautiful way. So yeah, we just hope and pray that this encouraged you guys. And I know I'm encouraged to try some new things too. So let's do this together.
So for this episode's Love Notes, we decided to just do our favorites. So we have different categories. We're going to kick it off. You guys know we are foodies. So of course,
I love food.
We had to start off with food. Brie, what has your favorite current food been?
Oh my gosh. So my recent favorite food, this is going to be so niche to us living in LA, but I literally, after my long runs on Saturday, the way that I crave these short ribs from Erewhon, oh my gosh.
That's so Texas of you.
It's so Texas of me, but I'm literally obsessed. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And also another recent obsession of mine is like cottage cheese. I know cottage cheese is like trending right now, but I get the hype. Really? I literally am obsessed with the texture of cottage cheese. I'm actually craving it right now. That's so random and so niche, but it has so much like good protein. So I have been eating cottage cheese by the tubs. So that's mine. That's so random, but that's like my fixation right now, my snack fixation.
I love that. Mine is random as well, and I'm not somebody who I'm down to try new foods like at places, but I kind of make the same recipes over and over again.
Yeah.
But I recently made one of my new favorite recipes, and it's a cilantro lime ginger curry. And it's so good. And what I love is it's like very fresh with like the ginger and the lime. It's not super heavy. Like some curries can be really sweet and like I'll have it like once, but then I don't really want leftovers. This one I can eat again and again. And it sounds so good. I love it.
Curry cottage cheese.
Balance, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, next category is current favorite movement. You can't say running.
Running. Yeah, it just has to be running, but I love strength training too. I feel like those are like my go-tos right now. Strength training, like lifting and running.
Wow.
Yeah. She lives.
Mine has recently been yoga, actually. I have just been doing like virtual yoga and I love it. I feel so good afterwards. Like it really is crazy. I feel like it's been relieving a lot of tension that just sits in my body and I get the hype. I'm like, I want to be on my yoga grind.
You're going to be a yogi.
I want to.
I love that.
Okay, next category is our current favorite listen.
Oh my gosh. My current favorite listen is anything by Two Friends right now. If you guys know Two Friends Big Booty Mix, I don't know if Marissa knows. She's like shocked. She's like, why are you speaking about booties?
How dare you?
Literally, Two Friends Big Booty Mix. I went to their concert 2 weekends ago and they dropped volume 24. And basically, I'll explain it to Marissa. They're like hour-long remixes of like basically the most popular songs, but like remixed and like tons of beats, tons of drops. The way that I'm obsessed with listening to these while I run, like...
I could see that.
It is insane, the hype, the energy, and then after seeing them live, like, that was the most lively concert I think I've ever been to. So recently, at all hours of the day, even right before bed, I'm listening to, like, this pump-up music, and I'm like, I should really, like, calm my body down, but I've just been, like, turning my house into a club. Not just when I'm running, like, literally at all times of the day. So that's my fixation right now.
That's so fun. I'll have to give it a listen.
Yeah.
I currently have gotten into, I would say this past fall/winter, I got into folk music, and I'm like very new to the category. But I feel like for me, like summer, I like country and like a very specific type of like feel good music. But I've been into folk. It hits fall, winter.
Oh, literally, that is my fall, winter playlists.
So good. Like,
I'm obsessed.
Right now it's been Noah Kahan and Zach Bryan. I know those are kind of like pop folk, maybe a little more mainstream.
Yeah.
I'm new. But
I need to get you on my playlist. You would love.
Oh, I'm so ready.
I'm a folk girl.
I have one called Leaves Are Fallen, and it's like all the folk, and I just love it so much. I'll listen to it like driving through the canyons with the windows down, and I'm like, this hits. Like, I'm ready for like a Pacific Northwest trip in the mountains. Like,
oh my gosh. Yeah, I need to give you my playlist.
Please do.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is our current favorite color.
Okay, my favorite color, purple. I love purple so much. Like, I think I learned that actually within the past couple months of like, I feel like purple is just calling my name in this season of my life. Lilac specifically, maybe a nice little lavender. Hey, it can be a deep purple too, but like literally whether I see it in a flower form or whether I have it on my body, obsessed.
I think I've told you that before, but I'm like, you embody the color purple to me.
Oh my gosh, that is like such an honor.
Also, our background's purple right now.
Oh, is it? Not planned.
My current favorite color, and I think this is me getting excited for spring, knowing it's on the way, yellow. I'm ready.
I love a good yellow.
I love yellow.
So happy.
And I just recently have noticed I've been so drawn to yellow. And that's when I know spring is coming, is when yellow starts to catch my eye. So,
oh, I love that one.
It's on our way. Okay, last one is random category. So we can say any kind of random favorite we've stumbled upon.
Okay, my random favorite, cashew milk lattes. I know that might as well just be a food favorite. You guys, I'm obsessed. If you follow me on Instagram, you see me post the same cashew milk latte like 5 days a week.
Okay, I want to know where you get them because I've been looking for a cashew milk latte and I cannot find.
So Groundwork in Venice, I'm sure all Groundworks, I think there's multiple locations. I go to the Venice one. Obsessed, and it's house made. Like, the cashew milk is so fresh.
Nothing beats house made alternative milk.
Literally, it hits, and it's like so thick. And cashews in general are my favorite nut. We're getting really personal today. Like,
I love cashews.
Almonds, I could literally never eat an almond the rest of my life, and I'd be fine except for almond milk. But like, cashews are my favorite nut by itself, but then you change it into milk, and then you put it in my latte. I am sold. The way I'm addicted. Literally, they know me by name at that coffee shop. They know my order. That's never been me. It's me.
Wow.
I'm obsessed.
I want nothing more than a cashew milk latte right now.
It's so good.
But my favorite that I was going to say, I'm new to this, so I don't think I'm doing it like properly, but it has been breath work. So just being like very intentional with my breathing. I'll do it when I'm doing yoga or in the mornings, just being like very aware of my breath. And again, it's just really relieved some pressure in my body. I'm like,
that's so good.
Okay, I get the hype. Like, it feels good. Who knew breathing? It feels like an exercise. Like, you feel so good.
I've done a little bit of breath work. I'm not the most faithful cat in the closet, but I've never said that before. I just felt like I had to say it. But like, I want to become more faithful at that because I hear it's just like transformational. I'm going to be a transformed cat.
That's what we want. Transformed kittens over here.
Transformed kittens. Can you tell that it's time for me to eat dinner?
This is our second episode. This is where we start to get a little delirious.
A little delirious. I'm a little delulu right now.
But anyways, on that note, we hope you guys found this episode, as always, so valuable. We had the best time sharing it with you. We're so excited to hear. Please do let us know what your high quality leisure activities are, what you might be trying, what you currently do. We would love to know. And we will see you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much for listening. We pray this episode was encouraging and life-giving. If you found it valuable, please share it with a friend, leave a review, and subscribe.
And be sure to follow us along over on Instagram at With Love Always Podcast. Signing off with all of our love always, Bree
and Marissa.